The year was
Rest easy now, the baby
1858
is strong.
in
I
Louisiana.
can feel it moving.
On a
That's
hot
good.
night,
Breathe
beneath
with
the
me.
big house of the plantation, pressed against the damp, earthen wall of a crawl space, a small shape huddled against a pillar. Up above,
See that?
in the
That's our
great house,
constellation.
the master
is it?
and his
It's a
guests were
story in the
dining,
stars.
their
It's
laughter and the
beautiful.
clinking of
Yes, it
glasses
is.
filtering down
Shh,
through
it's
the
all
wooden
right, I'm
planks,
here.
but
It
she was
hurts
far
so
from those
much.
sounds.
I know. Just breathe.
Her eyes were closed, but she was not
Look,
asleep.
the symbols match.
She was
And the book
listening,
confirms it.
not
This
to
is
the
the
sounds
key.
above,
We have
but
to
to
be
the
careful.
silence.
What have you
Suddenly,
found?
that silence
Something
broke.
dreadful. We must leave.
The
The
muffled
book
thud of
warns us.
footsteps on
Show me.
earth, heavy and deliberate.
The lights, they're getting
Then
closer.
another sound,
Stay
not of
with
a
me,
door
don't look
opening,
back.
but of a
I
loose
see
plank
shadows
scraping
moving.
against the ground inside.
It's a lovely evening for a
froze.
ride.
Her
It
eyes
is.
opened.
The air is so fresh.
In the darkness, from a corner of the cellar where old crates and rusty tools were stored, a faint light was seeping through. The light grew, and then she saw a plank of the floor lifting. A face emerged from below. It was no ghost, no runaway slave. That face was white, smeared with dirt, its eyes holding
Rest
both
easy
fear
now,
and
the baby is
determination.
strong.
I can feel it
It was the
moving.
mistress of the
That's
house,
good. Breathe
Madame
with me.
Elara Dubose. In her hand was a small sack. She saw the child, and for a moment, their eyes met.
See that? That's our
There was
constellation.
no anger
What
on
is it?
Madame's
It's a
face,
story
only
in
a
the
strange
stars.
weariness
It's beautiful.
and something
Yes, it
else,
is.
like an old
Shh,
grief.
it's all right. I'm here.
She
It
put a
hurts
finger
so
to her
much.
lips and then
I
held
know.
the sack out
Just breathe.
towards the child. The child
the
took it,
symbols
her
match.
hand trembling.
And the book confirms it.
The sack was
This
warm
is the
inside,
key.
and
We
it
have
held
to
the
be
smell of
careful.
bread and dried meat.
What have you found?
Without a
Something
word,
dreadful.
Madame
We must
replaced
leave.
the plank and
The book
vanished.
warns us.
Show me.
The darkness deepened again.
The lights, they're getting
The
closer.
child clutched the sack
Stay
to
with
her
me,
chest
don't look
and
back.
listened to the laughter
I see
from
shadows
above.
moving.
She knew that when
It's a
morning
lovely
came,
evening
her mother
for a
would find
ride.
her, and then
It
they
is.
would both go
The air
together
is
to
so
work in the
fresh.
cotton fields. But tonight, after this strange meeting, she began to think that perhaps this great house and this entire plantation were not just what they appeared to be. Perhaps more secrets lay hidden in its shadows. That child's name was Elara. Her mother, Cieli, remembered the day of her birth, though no mark of it existed on any calendar. It was a summer day, so hot that the cotton plant seemed to wilt and the humidity in the air felt like a wet cloth pressed against the face. Cieli had been called back from the fields when the pains in her belly rose. She was taken to the slave cabin, where an old woman, Aunt Schuyler, served as her midwife. Elara drew her first breath in the hot, dusty air of that cabin, where straw poked through the roof and sharp lines of sunlight streamed in through cracks in the walls. Cieli held her daughter to her breast and looked at her face. The child's eyes were large, and in them was a depth, as if she were seeing the world she had entered and recognized it instantly. Cieli named her after her own mother, who had been sold to another plantation when Cieli herself was small. The name was Elara. It meant, she who sees. The owner of the plantation, Mr. Henri Dubose, was a tall,
Rest easy now,
silent
the
man.
baby is strong.
His
can
wife,
feel it
Madame
moving.
Elara,
That's good.
was his
Breathe
opposite.
with me.
She spoke little, but her presence felt like a cold draft. Mr. Dubose did not treat his slaves brutally, as some other owners
See that?
did.
That's our constellation.
He
What
rarely
is it?
used the whip,
It's a story in the stars.
but
It's
there was a
beautiful.
coldness in
Yes,
his
it is.
eyes, a distance.
Shh, it's all right. I'm here.
He considered
It
his
hurts so
slaves his
much.
property,
I know.
and he took
Just
care of
breathe.
his property. No more than
Look,
that.
the symbols match.
His
the
cruelty
book
was not in
confirms it.
shouting and beating,
This is the
but in
key.
the silent
We have to be
indifference with
careful.
which he would tear families
What have
apart,
you
like a
found?
farmer collecting
Something
hen's
dreadful. We
eggs.
must leave. The book
Elara
warns
grew up
us.
Show
witnessing
me.
all of this.
The
She
lights,
saw
they're
how
getting
her
closer.
father, whose name
Stay
was
with me,
Jubal,
don't look
the
back.
strongest horse
I see
handler on the
shadows moving.
plantation, one day did not return
It's a
from
lovely
the stables.
evening for a ride.
Mr.
It
Dubose
is.
had sold him
The
to
air
a
is so
neighboring
fresh.
planter because he had argued with him about the way to handle a horse. Cieli made no sound that night. She sat in the corner of her cabin, holding Elara close, and tears flowed silently from her eyes like drops dripping from a roof after rain. Elara understood her mother's silence. She learned that grief often has no
Rest
sound.
easy now, the baby is strong.
When Elara turned
feel it
7, she was
moving.
put to
That's
work
good.
in the cotton
Breathe with me.
fields. Early in the morning, while it was still dark, a horn would blow and all the slaves would emerge from their cabins and gather in front
See
of the
that?
great
That's our
house.
constellation.
What is
There,
it?
the overseer,
story in the
Mr.
stars.
Corbin,
It's
a thick-necked
beautiful.
man with
Yes,
a
it
face
is.
perpetually burned by
Shh,
the
it's all
sun,
right. I'm
would
here.
assign
It
them their
hurts so
baskets and row
much.
numbers.
I know. Just breathe.
Then, still in darkness, they would
Look,
walk
the
towards the
symbols match.
fields, the sound
book
of their
confirms
footsteps
it.
a dull drumbeat
This is
on
the
the
key.
earth.
We have to be careful.
Elara quickly learned how
What
to
have
snap
you
the cotton
found?
ball without
Something
cutting her
dreadful. We
fingers,
must leave.
and how to hoist the
book warns
basket
us.
onto her
Show me.
shoulder when it was full.
The lights, they're
She
getting
was smaller
closer.
than the other children,
Stay with me,
but her
don't look
hands
back.
were nimble.
I see shadows
She
moving.
remained silent.
It's a
While
lovely
other
evening
children
for a
whispered among
ride.
themselves or
It
played
is.
hide and seek
The
in
air
the
is so
fields,
fresh.
Laura stayed in her row, her eyes cast down, but her ears attuned to everything. She began to recognize the calls of birds, the direction of the wind, and especially the sound of Mr. Corbin's horse's hooves. She knew when he was far away and when he was approaching. This was her hidden gift, observation. She could read people's faces, see the fears and hopes hidden behind their eyes. She watched how old Samuel, who could no longer straighten his back, would suddenly bend with renewed vigor when Mr. Corbin approached. She watched how Lily, a young girl, would lower her head even further when Madame Dubose passed near the fields, because Madame's eyes, seeing her youth and beauty, might begin to contemplate the path to another plantation. One day, in the scorching afternoon sun, Elara saw something that shook her. Mr. Corbin's horse was limping. He was examining its leg, and his face held worry. He loved horses, perhaps more than any human being in this world. That day, he struck no slave, raised no shout. But when he called a young slave to lead the horse to the stable, his voice held the same coldness that was in Mr. Dubose's eyes. Elara thought, he loves the horse more than he loves people.
Rest easy now, the baby
And in
is
that
strong.
moment, she
I can
understood
feel it
another
moving.
layer of
That's
cruelty.
good. Breathe with me.
It wasn't just the beatings, it was the knowledge that your existence held no value, that you were worth less than a good horse. At night,
See that?
when
That's our
everyone else
constellation.
slept from
What is
exhaustion,
it?
Elara
It's a
would
story in
often
the
stay
stars.
awake.
It's beautiful.
Yes,
She
it
would
is.
sit outside the
Shh,
cabin
it's
and
all
look
right,
up at
I'm
the
here.
sky,
It
where
hurts so
millions of
much.
stars
I
glittered.
know. Just breathe.
Her mother had told her that these stars
Look,
were the
the
souls of
symbols
those who
match.
had died,
And the book
they were
confirms
watching
it.
them.
This is the key.
Elara
We
believed
have
that
to
her
be careful.
father's soul was among those
What have
stars,
you found?
watching her.
Something dreadful. We
She would
must
talk
leave.
to them, very
book
softly,
warns us.
so no
Show
one
me.
could hear.
The
"I
lights,
see
they're
you,"
getting
she
closer.
would whisper, and
Stay
I will
with me.
remember.
Don't look back. I see
This habit
shadows
of hers
moving.
did not go unnoticed.
It's a lovely
One
evening
night,
for a ride.
when there was no moon,
It is.
a man came
The
to
air
her.
is so fresh.
It was Eli, a new slave, brought from Virginia just a few months ago. He was young, and his eyes still held a spark that plantation life had not yet extinguished. He sat down beside Elara. "Why do you stay awake at night, little one?" he whispered. Elara looked at him.
Rest easy
She
now.
saw
The
that
baby
spark
is
in his
strong.
eyes,
I
and
can
with it,
feel it
a deep
moving.
sorrow.
That's good. Breathe with
"I
me.
talk to the stars," she said simply. Eli looked up. "What do they say?" "They say there is another world
that?
out
That's our
there,"
constellation.
Lara said,
What
"where
is
there
it?
are no
It's a story in the
plantations."
stars.
It's beautiful.
Eli looked
Yes,
at
it
her,
is.
and for a moment,
Shh, it's all
that
right,
spark
I'm
in his
here.
eyes grew
It hurts
brighter.
so much.
I know.
"You're right,"
Just
he
breathe.
said. "There is a world
Look,
out there,
the symbols match.
and I'm
And
going
the
to
book
find
confirms
it."
it. This is
This
the
was a
key.
revelation
We have
for
to be
Elara.
careful.
The
What have
idea
you
that someone
found?
could run away,
Something
that
dreadful.
these
We must
cabins and
leave.
fields and
The
this
book
cruelty
warns
were
us.
not an
Show me.
eternal punishment.
The lights,
That
they're
night,
getting
Eli
closer.
told her stories
Stay
of
with
the
me. Don't
outside
look
world,
back.
of the
I
great
see shadows
river, and
moving.
of the paths leading north.
It's a lovely
He
evening
told her
for a
there were
ride.
people who helped
It
runaways,
is.
who
The
hid
air
them
is
and
so
gave them
fresh.
food. Elara absorbed it all into her heart, like thirsty earth drinking in water. But a few nights later, Eli did not come. In the morning, Elara saw Mr. Corbin standing near the stables, a new leather whip in his hand. In the line of slaves, Eli was not there. Whispers went around all day that he had been caught and locked in the storage shed. 3 days later, he returned, but he was no longer the same Eli. His back bore the marks of the whip, and the spark in his eyes was gone. Now he was like all the others, with downcast eyes and an empty face. Elara looked at him, and a strange pang struck her heart. But she shed no tears. She just watched, and remembered. She turned 10. Her mother Ciely had grown sick. The long hours in the fields, the meager food, and a broken heart had worn her down. She had a cough that wouldn't go away, and she grew weaker every day. The overseer, Mr. Corbin, refused to give Ciely lighter work. "Work will cure you," he said. Elara did her mother's work in the fields during the day and cared for her at night. She picked as much cotton in her
Rest
basket as a
easy now.
grown
The
woman.
baby is strong.
Her
I can
fingers
feel it
were raw
moving.
and blistered,
That's good.
but she
Breathe
never
with me.
stopped. She knew that if she picked less, she would be punished, and then there would be no one to care for her mother. One evening,
See that?
as the
That's our
sun was
constellation.
setting and the
What
fields
is it?
turned golden,
It's a story in the
Ciely took
stars.
Elara's
It's
hand.
beautiful.
Yes, it is.
Her voice was
Shh,
barely
it's
a
all
whisper.
right, I'm here.
It hurts
"Daughter,"
so much.
she said,
I
"I will
know.
not be
Just
here
breathe.
long. But you must live.
Look, the symbols match.
You must keep
and the book
watching.
confirms it.
You
This
must
is the
remember.
key. We have to be careful.
Carry all our stories
What have
inside
you found?
Something
Someday,
dreadful. We
this
must
will
leave.
end.
The book warns
Elara
us.
held
Show
her
me.
mother's hand and nodded.
The lights, they're getting
She
closer.
said nothing, because
Stay
words
with
were
me,
stuck
don't
in
look
her
back.
throat.
I see shadows
She
moving.
just watched, as she always
It's
did.
a lovely evening for a
That
ride.
night, Cieli's eyes
It is.
closed,
The
and
air
with
is
them,
so
the last
fresh.
support of Elara's world was gone. The next morning, when the horn blew and the slaves lined up, Elara was in her place. There were no tears on her face, no visible grief. Only an emptiness, and in that emptiness, a spark that had not yet been extinguished. Mr. Corbin looked at her and seemed about to say something,
Rest easy
but
now.
then
The
fell
baby is
silent.
strong. I can feel
Perhaps
it
he
moving.
saw something in
That's
her
good.
eyes
Breathe
that
with
he
me.
did not understand. After Cieli's death, Elara became even more silent. She lived alone, even though she was
See
among
that? That's
the
our
others.
constellation.
What is
She
it?
worked in the
It's a
fields,
story in the
ate,
stars.
It's
slept, but
beautiful.
there was a
Yes, it
distance
is.
about her, as if
Shh,
she
it's all
lived in
right, I'm
another
here.
world.
It hurts so much.
She did not
I know.
avoid Mr.
Just
Corbin's
breathe.
gaze. Instead, she looked at him
Look,
as if
the
he were a
symbols
strange
match.
animal to be
And the book
studied.
confirms it.
This
This is the
silent
key.
fearlessness of
We have
hers
to be
unsettled
careful.
the overseer.
What have you
He
found?
felt that this child
Something
knew
dreadful.
something
We
she
must
shouldn't.
leave. The book warns
One
us.
day,
Show me.
he came to her as she was drinking
The lights,
water
they're getting
alone in the
closer.
field.
Stay with me,
Why
don't
do you
look
watch
back.
me, Elara?
I see
He
shadows
asked,
moving.
a strange softness in his voice.
It's a lovely evening for a
Elara
ride.
looked at him.
It is. The
She
air
saw
is so
the usual
fresh.
coldness in his eyes, but also something else, perhaps curiosity, or maybe loneliness. I watch everyone, she said simply. It's what I do. Mr. Corbin listened to her and then walked away. After that day, he never bothered Elara again. But he continued to watch her, from a distance, as if trying to understand her. She turned 12, and her body began to fill out. This was the time when things often changed for the girls on the plantation. Madame Dubos's gaze now rested on her more often. She would call her to help with house chores, sometimes to mend clothes, sometimes to peel vegetables in the kitchen. When Elara went to the big house, her eyes would take in everything. She looked at the books on the table, the pictures on the walls, the embroidery in Madame's hands. She noticed that Madame herself was often alone, her face sad, and she would spend hours looking out the window towards the fields. Once, when Madame asked her to pick up a teacup, Elara saw that her eyes were moist. She said nothing, but she thought, this woman is sad too. How is her sadness different from my mother's? She found no answer, but she began to watch Madame more closely.
Rest easy now. The baby is strong.
Then came that night,
can feel
when
it
she had that
moving.
strange
That's
meeting
good.
in the
Breathe
cellar
with me.
beneath the big house. Madame had given her bread and meat, and put her finger to her lips. Elara understood it was a
See
secret.
that? That's our constellation.
She would
What
stay
is it?
awake at night,
story in the
waiting for
stars.
Madame to
It's
come.
beautiful.
Yes, it is.
Sometimes she came,
Shh, it's all right. I'm here.
sometimes
It
weeks
hurts
would
so
pass.
much.
I know.
But
Just
whenever
breathe.
she came, she brought something, food,
Look, the
an old
symbols
blanket,
match.
once a
And the book
candle.
confirms it.
She
This is
never
the
spoke,
key.
just
We
looked
have
at
to be
Elara
careful.
with that same old grief
What
in
have
her
you
eyes.
found?
Something
And
dreadful.
Elara
We must
remained
leave.
silent too,
The book
but her
warns
eyes
us.
held
Show me.
questions. One
The
night,
lights, they're getting
Madame broke
closer.
the silence.
Stay with me, don't look
You are
back.
very
I
quiet,
see shadows
she whispered.
moving.
Aren't you afraid?
It's a lovely evening for a
I am
ride.
afraid, Elara
It
said,
is.
but
The
being
air is so
afraid doesn't
fresh.
help. Madame listened, then said, I am afraid too. We are all afraid. You are afraid? Elara asked. But you are the mistress. Madame took a long breath. What do you think, Elara? That being the master is easy?
Rest
That it's
easy now.
easy
The
to
baby
watch
is
your
strong.
husband treat
I can
people
feel
like
it
property.
moving. That's good.
To know
Breathe
that
with
you
me.
are a part of all this, a partner in this cruelty. Elara tried to understand her words. She knew that Madame
that?
had
That's
never
our
struck a
constellation.
slave,
What
never
is it?
ordered anyone
It's a
sold.
story in the stars.
It's
But
beautiful.
she also knew
Yes, it
that
is.
Madame had never stopped
Shh,
it
it's all
either.
right. I'm here.
It hurts
She was a
so
silent
much.
witness,
I
and
know.
perhaps that
Just
was her
breathe.
sin. That night,
Look,
Madame
the
told
symbols
her that she
match.
once lived
And
in
the book
Connecticut,
confirms it.
a small town
This
where
is the
her
key.
father was a
We have to
teacher.
be careful.
There were no
What
slaves
have you
there.
found?
She
Something
had
dreadful.
grown up
We
in the
must
north,
leave.
where this
The book
whole
warns
system
us.
seemed
Show me.
strange to her.
The
But then
lights,
she
they're
married
getting
Henri
closer.
Dubose, who
Stay
loved
with
her,
me,
and
don't
she
look
came
back.
with him to
I see
Louisiana.
shadows moving.
I thought I could change him,
It's a
she
lovely
said,
evening
but
for
I
a
changed.
ride.
It is.
I stopped
The air
seeing.
is so fresh.
But you do see, Elara said. You saw me. Madame looked at her, and tears filled her eyes. Yes, I see you, Elara. And that is why I am afraid. After this meeting, a strange bond formed between Elara and Madame. They were still mistress and slave, but in the darkness, in the silence of the cellar, they were two women sharing their fears and loneliness. Madam began to teach Elara to read, from a small Bible she would bring hidden. She taught her the letters, and Elara learned quickly. She felt that letters also held power, a kind of magic. She would write them in the dirt, and then erase them. She learned to write, first her own name, then her mother's name, then the names of those she did not want to forget. This continued for many months. Those nights of the summer of 1858, when the humidity was so thick it was hard to breathe, became nights of enlightenment for Elara. She no longer just talked to the stars, she knew their names, and she would write them in a small notebook that Madam had given her. But secrets cannot stay hidden forever. One night, when Madam lifted the cellar plank, behind her was not just darkness. Mr.
Rest
Dubose
easy
stood
now.
there.
The baby is strong.
There was
I
no
can feel
anger
it
on his
moving.
face,
That's
only a
good.
deep
Breathe with
weariness
me.
and disappointment. He looked at Madam, then at Elara, who sat on her pallet watching them. In her hand was the small
See that?
notebook.
That's our constellation.
What
Mr.
is it?
Dubose made
It's a
no
story in the
sound.
stars.
It's beautiful.
He just stood
Yes, it
there
is.
for a long time.
Shh, it's all right. I'm here.
Then he
It
turned
hurts
and
so
went back up.
much.
I know. Just
Madam
breathe.
looked at Elara, tears streaming down her
Look, the
face.
symbols match.
Forgive
book
me,
confirms
she
it.
whispered, and
This
then
is
she
the
too
key.
was gone.
We have to be careful.
The next day,
What have
Lara
you
was
found?
moved to an old shack
Something
at the
dreadful.
far
We
end
must
of the
leave.
plantation.
The book warns us.
She
Show
no
me.
longer lived near the big house.
The lights, they're getting
She
closer.
was sent back to the
Stay with
fields,
me, don't
and
look
her
back.
work hours were
I see
made even
shadows
longer.
moving.
Mr. Corbin
It's a
began
lovely
watching her
evening
again,
for a
but
ride.
now there was no
It
strange
is.
softness
The
in his
air
gaze,
is so fresh.
only a warning. She knew she was walking on the edge. But she did not stop reading. She hid the notebook in her clothes, and on moonless nights, she would take it out and read, moving her lips silently, tracing the letters with her finger. She read the stories Madam had taught her, about Moses leading his people out of bondage,
Rest easy now.
and
The
David
baby is
fighting the
strong.
giant.
I can feel it moving.
She absorbed
That's
these
good.
stories
Breathe
into
with
her
me.
heart, drawing strength from them. Then one day, a man came. He was a stranger, dressed in white, with
See
a
that?
horse
That's
and a
our
small
constellation.
carriage.
What is it?
He
It's a
met with
story in the
Mr.
stars.
Dubose,
It's
and then the two of
beautiful.
them
Yes, it
talked for
is.
hours in the big
Shh,
house.
It's all right. I'm here.
That
It
night,
hurts so
whispers
much.
started among
I
the
know.
slaves that
Just
the man
breathe.
was buying slaves to take them further
Look, the
south
symbols
to the
match.
sugar
And the
plantations
book
where the
confirms
work
it.
was even harder.
This is the key. We
The
have to be
next day,
careful.
names were called.
What have you found?
Old Samuel's
Something
name,
dreadful. We must
Lily's
leave.
name, and
The
then
book warns us.
Show me.
Elara's name.
The
When
lights,
she
they're
heard
getting
it,
closer.
the ground seemed to
Stay
slip
with me,
from
don't look
beneath her
back.
feet.
I see shadows
She had
moving.
known this day might come,
It's
but
a
she
lovely
had never
evening
thought she
for
would
a
be
ride.
ready.
It is.
She stood in
the
her
air
place,
is so fresh.
her face expressionless, but inside her, a storm was rising. That night, she decided to run. She did not know the way, but she knew she could not go further south. She would die, like her mother died, before she could tell anyone her story. She wanted to take the notebook, in which she had written her mother's name, her father's name, Eli's name, and the names of all those she wanted to remember, with her. When the night grew deep and the moon hid behind clouds, she slipped out of her shack. She crept silently towards the fields, then towards the woods where the trees grew thick. She listened to every rustle, every leaf's whisper. She walked for hours, until her legs ached and her torn feet bled. She stopped, sat under a tree, and looked up at the sky. The stars were shining, just as they had from outside her cabin. She knew she had not gone far, that by morning the dogs would find her. But morning did not come. Instead, she heard the sound of horse hooves, but they were not coming towards her, they were moving away. She was puzzled. Then she heard another sound, close by. She rose and saw, in the darkness, Madame Dubose standing before
Rest
her.
easy now. The baby is strong.
In her hand was
I
a
can feel
horse's
it moving.
reins.
That's good. Breathe
Hurry,
with me.
Madam whispered. Come with me. Elara looked at her. In her eyes was the same old grief, but
See
now
that?
there
That's
was
our
also
constellation.
determination.
What is it?
It's a story
Without
in the
hesitation,
stars.
It's
she went to
beautiful.
Madam.
Yes, it is.
Madam
Shh,
helped
it's
her
all right.
onto the
I'm here.
horse,
It
then
hurts
mounted
so
behind
much.
her.
I know. Just
They took a
breathe.
path through the woods, a path Elara
Look,
had
the
never
symbols
known.
match. And the book
They rode all
confirms it.
night, and when
This is the
morning
key.
came, they
We
were
have to be
near a
careful.
small village.
What have you
Madam
found?
stopped the horse
Something
and looked
dreadful.
at
We
Elara.
must leave. The book
From
warns
here,
us.
you must
Show
go
me.
north, she said.
The lights, they're getting
In this
closer.
village lives a woman
Stay
named
with me,
Mrs.
don't look
Whittaker.
back. I see
Go
shadows
to her,
moving.
tell her I sent you.
It's a lovely
She will
evening
help
for a
you.
ride.
It
Elara
is.
took Madam's
The air
hand.
is so fresh.
Why are you doing this? Tears stood in Madam's eyes. Because I stopped seeing for too long, Lara. You taught me to see again. Now go, and live. Remember your mother's story, and the stories of all those you have seen. Elara embraced Madame for the first and last time.
Rest easy now. The baby is strong.
Then she dismounted and
Feel
walked
it
towards
moving.
the village.
That's good. Breathe with me.
When she looked back, Madame was still there, her figure small in the morning light, her face fading. Then she turned the horse and
See
vanished
that?
into
That's
the
our
woods.
constellation.
What is
Years
it?
It's a
passed.
story in the stars.
The
It's
war
beautiful.
ended, slavery
Yes, it is.
ended, but its
Shh,
marks
it's
did
all
not
right, I'm
fade.
here. It hurts so
The
much.
Louisiana plantations
Just
changed.
breathe.
Some decayed, some fell into
Look,
new
the
hands.
symbols match. And the
Mr.
book confirms
Dubos's
it.
plantation
This is the
changed
key.
too.
We have to be careful.
He himself never
What
returned
have
after
you
the war.
found?
Something dreadful.
Madame
We must
Elara
leave.
lived alone
The
for a
book
few
warns
years.
us.
Show
Then
me.
she too went north.
The lights, they're getting
In the year
closer.
1875,
Stay with me, don't
woman,
look back.
Now grown,
I see
lived in a
shadows
small
moving.
town in Connecticut.
It's a lovely
Her name was
evening for a
Elara.
ride. It
She
is.
taught at a school,
The air is so
teaching
fresh.
children who had never been able to go to school. She was married, she had children, and her house was small but filled with love. One day, she received a letter. It was from Louisiana, from a lawyer. The letter said that Madame Elara Dubos had passed away, and in her will, she had left a small sum of money for Elara, along with a box. When the box was opened, it contained the small Bible from which Madame had taught her to read, and with it, an old, worn diary. It was Madame's diary. On its pages, dates were recorded, and in them, Elara's name appeared again and again. On the last page, in barely legible handwriting, was written, "Today I saw Elara. She was running towards the woods. I did not stop her. I prayed to God that she would escape. Perhaps this is the only good deed of my life. Now I can die in peace." Elara closed the diary and looked out the window for a long time. Outside, snow was falling, white and silent. She thought of all the people who were left behind there, of their graves with no markers. She thought of her mother, who died in the cotton fields, and whose story no one would ever know.
Rest easy now. The baby
But
is
then
strong.
she looked at the diary in
feel
her
it
hand,
moving.
and
That's
at the
good.
pictures of her
Breathe with
children
me.
on the wall. She knew that she would tell their story, that she would tell them where they came from, and how their grandparents had survived.
See that? That's our
Outside the
constellation.
window,
What
the
is it?
snow fell,
It's a story
and
in the
Elara
stars.
thought that
It's
perhaps this
beautiful.
was
Yes, it
freedom,
is.
not just escaping,
It's all right,
but
I'm
remembering,
here. It hurts so much.
and telling the story
I
of
know.
those who
Just
could never
breathe.
speak for themselves.
Look,
The big
symbols
plantation
match.
house still
And the book
stands there,
confirms it.
in the Louisiana
This is the
sun,
key.
but the cellar
We have to be
beneath it is
careful.
empty.
What have you
No
found?
one sleeps in the earthen
Something
crawl
dreadful.
space
We
now.
must leave. The book
But if you
warns
listen
us.
Show
carefully
me.
on a quiet night, perhaps
The
on
lights,
the wind,
they're getting
from somewhere
closer.
far away,
Stay with
you
me,
might
don't
hear
look
the voice
back.
of a child
I see shadows
talking to
moving.
the stars. And
It's
the
a
stars
lovely
shine
evening
on,
for a
silently,
ride.
as if they
It
have
is.
seen everything
The air is
and are
so
remembering.
fresh.